Good afternoon. I hope everyone is well and safe. I'm going to put my glasses on. So, as you know, we are excited to be instituting this executive order so that we can be able to ensure that we are promoting a health and safe workplace for our city employees. So one of the things that went into place when trying to implement this executive order were a couple of factors. It wasn't something that we were able to just institute overnight. We really needed to have a well thought out process that really necessitated a number of different departments' involvement to making sure that this was going to be executed accordingly. So one of the things that I want to sort of highlight initially is that when we, as you know, one of the issues that we are seeing still consistently in our country, in our nation, in our state, and in our city, is that we are still seeing a significant high rise in cases. We are considered to be in a surge, and in this county, we are actually in high-risk transmission. And so the concerns around serving the public as city employees and making sure that the employees feel safe with each other as peers, but also as we are serving face-forward, as the face-forward departments are serving the public, we are ready and able to be able to service the public. So it's really critical for us to be able to have something that is also thoughtful. And so what we did was a couple of things. First, we needed to institute and establish the fact that we did not have a good way to track the number of individuals that were vaccinated in the city. So we had to establish and work through developing a portal that was going to, number one, be HIPAA compliant to ensure the safety of information. Number two, we wanted to make sure that we were instituting different workflows for the different users that are going to be involved in using this particular portal. For example, the health department will be responsible for the vaccine verification of each of the employees. And so there will be a set of team and there's specific parameters that will be established just to restrict those users for that purpose. We will also have those within the mandate is either going to be, as the mayor mentioned, vaccines entered into the portal within a specific time frame, and then after September 27th, employees that opt out of that, in order to be compliant, they need to do weekly testing. And so we will also have a section of the portal that will be able to have employees to upload their testing results, which will activate for follow-up of any of the contact tracers to ensure that we're isolated and quarantining as we need to. The third function is the HR function, which is an HR non-compliant portal. Well, if anyone that's not in compliant, that will activate a specific set of users and will then activate the HR department for compliance. There goes my paper. Thank you. And so, as you know, this is really, it's very critical for us to ensure that as we instituted this mandate, that we were really thinking through the different processes, because we also wanted to make sure that we were not being restricted. As you know, there are different cities like the city of Stansford and the city of Norwalk that have already instituted this mandate, and they also followed the similar format. We're also being consistent with the governor's order as well as others across the country that are instituting similar mandates. So we wanted to make sure that at this time, as we're looking at this situation, and it continues to evolve, right? So it's very fluid, and so we have to make sure that we are within the realm of, number one, making sure that there's a process that's going to protect the privacy of our employees, and number two, an option for people that, for various reasons, are not going to be able to either get vaccinated or not ready to get vaccinated at this time. We want to ensure the safety of our workforce, so the testing option is going to be available. The health department is also going to be providing a testing site for our employees as an additional option. So we wanted to make sure that as there are options available for our employees, we are going to have a preferred option for our employees as well. So that will be launched by our health department team, and that will be forthcoming to our employees for notification. And so we wanted to make sure that these things were all in place before instituting such mandates. That was like the most popular topic of individuals asking, when are we going to institute a mandate? And it's not just about instituting a mandate, it's about making sure that we're implementing it in a way that's going to be thoughtful and considerate of all of the workforce that we are working with. And so with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to our corporate counsel attorney that can talk a little bit about the details of the mandate.
Good afternoon. As the mayor and Director Bond have indicated, the mandate that we announced today furthers the city's goals of providing a safe workplace for our employees and also for protecting the health of the members of the public who interact with our employees on a regular basis. As has been explained, so I don't think I need to go into it too much, employees have until September 27th to comply with vaccine, with verification of the vaccine, and the testing upload will be September 30th because we'll be doing weekly testing requirements will be required to be done every Thursday. So the first date for that is September 30th for the testing uploads. We have the details of those uploading mechanisms described in our policy. We have a wide variety, as Director Bond indicated, of city employees, some of whom have more occasion to use computers than others. So we have worked hard to try to develop our policy that will be user-friendly for all of our employees, although it may take us a little bit of time and some work with some employees to make sure that they're able to comply, whether it be by uploading their vaccine proofs or whether it will be by uploading their weekly testing. The city is planning to meet next week with the various labor unions to discuss with them on the mechanics and the particulars of implementing the policy. One of the issues that we know is of interest to the unions, and there are a number of them that represent our city employees across the board, it's not just one or two unions, is the disciplinary aspect. We are, first of all, I think it's most important for us to say that we are really working towards compliance. We are not trying to use this mandate or the policy as a way of inflicting discipline on employees. We are all working towards the same goal of safety in the workplace and safety for our city constituents. And we are very hopeful that the various unions are going to be partners with us in that effort. But all the various unions have various collective bargaining agreements, and to some extent, the disciplinary process varies from bargaining agreement to bargaining agreement. So that is something that our Labor Relations Department will be taking up with the unions. But as I said, and I don't think I can emphasize this enough, we are not trying to inflict discipline on people. We are trying to get people compliant. Discipline would be treated as a violation of a work rule, and that could vary, as I said, from the various, among the various collective bargaining agreements for our unions. And I don't think I need to spend a lot of time on this, but as Director Bond and the mayor indicated, some people think this mandate may have been a long time coming, but there were a lot of moving parts that were necessary to come together to figure out a policy that was going to work for the wide variety of employees that we have in the city. And in order to make it easier for people to comply with either the vaccine proof or the proof of testing, whichever the employee chooses. And it's a matter of choice at this point. If you don't have proof of vaccination, then you simply submit to testing. Our Board of Ed employees, as of now, are covered by the governor's order, Executive Order 13D, that covers Board of Ed employees, or school employees, I should say, or school department employees across the state. That order currently is set to expire September 30th with the expiration of the governor's emergency powers. That may get extended, and I would think if that happens, which is up to the state government, then I would expect the governor would probably extend his order. So as of now, our order applies to city employees who are not employees from the Board of Ed because they're covered under the governor's order. So, as I said, we're hoping that all of our city employees, whether they're union members, executive management, full-time, part-time, will all work with us to keep our fellow employees safe and to keep the public safe. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Question for anyone really regarding the policy. Some entities have a policy where they require you to get a vaccine or testing, or you have to apply for a religious or medical exemption. You don't have to apply for a religious or medical exemption with the city, do you?
So correct. So for the governor's order, and it's slightly different. The governor's order requires New Haven public school employees and public school employees across the state to have an exemption, and those exemptions are a medical exemption or a strongly held religious belief. Our order or mandate requires you either to get vaccinated or to get tested. We spent a lot of time, as you can imagine, talking about this, and based on labor implications, we felt like, and balancing out the health implications, we felt like this was the best approach. We are going to see how this goes, and we'll explore down the road whether we need to make an exemption that is more rigorous be a part of this. But at the moment, this is where we've landed.
Do we have any idea how many city employees are vaccinated at this point of that 2,000?
Technically, no. This will help us, obviously, in the next several weeks get a very good idea, get an exact number of what those percentages look like, and that can help us guide some of the future decision making as well.
Justin, you said technically you don't know how many have been vaccinated. That gives me a sense you have a hunch.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to department heads, and they, in just kind of general conversation with their employees.
Numbers, right? The police chief has said at times what percentage are vaccinated.
We don't know. I mean,
Do you have a ballpark guess?
I don't want to guess. I'd love to guess. I mean, in my mind, I have a number, but it could be way off. And I'm not a gambling man, so give us a few weeks, and then we'll figure it out.
When would any kind of percentage take in? Would it be after this one test? After this two?
Do you want to answer this, or?
Are you?
Go for it.
Okay. Hope I won't trip this time. What we are currently expecting to do is to contact the employees who are not compliant with their weekly upload of testing. Because obviously if they've uploaded their proof of vaccine, that's the end. The employees who don't do that will be subject to the weekly testing. And what we intend to do is the health department will provide to the managers only the names of those employees who are not compliant. And the managers are at this point expecting to be able to reach out to them, to talk with them to see if there's any help we can offer in terms of answering questions or allaying their fears of the vaccination or giving them time to comply. So as I said, we're not trying to club people with discipline here. We're trying to ensure compliance. So I expect there's going to be some leeway with these employees to try to get them to comply. Explain where the testing sites are, what they have to do, make sure they know how to upload the results. And we're hopeful that we can resolve a lot of these problems by working with the employees rather than just by punishing them.
Would they perhaps, Pat, be given a 2-week grace period, or
I don't know.
Is there anything more defined?
Well, we haven't really defined it yet. I think some of that is going to be working with the unions. I don't know that a grace period would be as long as 2 weeks, but I think, a day or two would probably not be unreasonable, just to try to help people iron out whatever their concerns will be. And as often happens in the city, things happen that you don't expect. So we have to be flexible to deal with situations that come up that we might not have planned for or be able to expect. But as I said, the main goal is compliance and not punishment.
If the governor's executive order expires covering education, would the cities then overlap? And
Yes.
cover that?
Our expectation at this time is then the Board of Ed employees would fall under the city's order.
Is there an update on the case numbers citywide? I know a couple months ago, the rates were pretty high.
So as you know, the CDC categorized pretty much the entire state in the high-risk category at this juncture. The city of New Haven is within that, New Haven County, and we are still within high transmission. Within our 14-day case rate, so one of the things that I just want to distinguish, the CDC uses a 7-day rolling average. The Department of Public Health and at the local level, we use a 14-day average. And so right now we're seeing about 19 per 100,000 for the city of New Haven. If we look at we have like a tool and a number of ways that we're looking at our data. Another means of looking at our data is the 5-day projection. And so when we're looking at the sludge report, the sewage report that the Yale University reports on, they are estimating that we are projecting out to 24 per 100,000. So we are still seeing an increase in cases. We are seeing an increase in cases as well as the hospitalization. So we have about 58 City of New Haven specific residents hospitalized at this time. They range by different ages. However, there is only one pediatric. And so I know there's been some pediatric concerns nationwide. In our city, currently, we're not seeing that factor. So I just wanted to make sure that I dispel that rumor, because that a lot of social media messaging, as I'm on Twitter, falsifies different information. So it's vital for me to share that. And I think what I want to highlight, and I want to commend the community at this time, is that we are now at 68% of at least residents getting one dose. That is amazing for us as the City of New Haven, having 12 and over at least one dose of the vaccination. Those that are fully vaccinated with 2 doses are at 61%. So we are making significant strides. We continue to see an increase. We are not stagnant as a city, and so I want to thank the community and continue to encourage the community to come out. And of course, employees are our community as well. So we want to make sure that we continue to send that message. Testing are also available, and we're looking to partner with the Department of Public Health on expanding another testing site on Sergeant Drive in the very near future as well.
Maritza, are you seeing any uptick this week in vaccinations as a result of the FDA full approval of the Pfizer vaccine?
Well, each week we're seeing about 1,000 increases per week, steadily. I haven't seen a significant jump yet since the FDA approved Pfizer. We'll definitely monitor that, and we'll be able to tell within the next few weeks.
So you're doing about 1,000 vaccines a week?
As a city.
Okay.
The 58 hospitalizations, how many of those are breakthrough cases?
About 30%.
Is that 30% overall, or how about ICU?
That is overall. I don't have the ICU numbers at this time.
But the message with the breakthrough cases is, if you've had the vaccine, generally, even if you're hospitalized, you're...
So we know that the vaccine provides protection from seriously being impacted and fatalities. Our fatalities, thankfully, in the city has not changed. We have not seen an increase in deaths. So we're very fortunate that individuals that are contracting the virus, though they are vaccinated, there's also one of the preliminary things that we're seeing is that a lot of these individuals have pre-existing conditions as well, or had an exposure to traveling to a city that has very low immunization rates. So there are a lot of variables for why we're seeing the breakthrough cases at this time.
Maritza, did you say 58 New Haven residents?
Specifically.
Okay.
Through the system in New Haven County is 133 approximately.
Okay.
One pediatric role.
I do not have the age on hand.
Thank you.
Is that ICU or?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to just respond to one thing. I think Pat was a little bit kinder and gentler than I would be. We expect employees to abide by this policy.
Okay.
And we're serious about disciplinary action if employees choose either not to get vaccinated or not to get tested. And we will hold people accountable. So I just want to make very clear about that. This is not loosey-goosey. We expect people to abide by the policy.
I said a couple of weeks. She said maybe a day or two. Do you expect to have a defined, like it's going to be no more than 48 hours?
Yeah, we'll be putting out a policy to the employees very shortly with those details.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.